Koda, don't swim so far, I called out to my little brother. The waves were getting higher and rougher on my 6-year-old brother on a small kickboard. Help me, Yin, he cried out as he clung to his kickboard for dear life. The storm came out of nowhere, and so suddenly. I managed to reach him and hold him close to my as I tried to swim back to shore, but the currents were so strong, and we were being tossed around by the rough waves. I suddenly felt a pair of strong arms wrap around me, looking to see my dad, fighting to keep us afloat. But that's when a great wave smashed down onto us. Everything went black. I woke up with a gasp as I woke up from my nightmare. It happened 3 years ago, when I was 15. My dad died that day, saving me and my brother Koda. Me and Koda grew close after our father's death, but Mom didn't take it well. She started to drink more and more, slowly becoming more bitter by the day. At first, it was just a few insults and here and there, but soon cascaded into full-on neglect. Till this day, she believes with all her heart that it was our fault for our dad's death. Koda and I didn't have many friends, and Mom barely let us go anywhere, so we were lonely most of the time. So, while Mom went to work, we're expected to make the house spotless. When we finished that, we would go out to the beach not so far away. Koda would play on the beach sand while I enjoyed swimming in the ocean. But when it turned noon, we quickly had to return to home and endure the rest of the day with Mother. It was another day. Mom left for work and we finished all our chores. So Koda and I went out to the beach once again, this time bringing our small wooden boat with us. Today, there was just a pod of dolphins not so far offshore. Excited to see dolphins again, Koda? I asked my little brother. Yes. Do you think they'll come up to the boat? He asked curiously. I brought fish with us, so maybe if they feel like it, I said with a smile as I rowed us out to sea. Deku, we shouldn't get this close to the surface, said a pink-cheeked mermaid. It's okay, Chaco. I'm not going above the surface. I just want to see the dolphins, Izuka said with his friend. As they swam, they came to a stop at what they saw. There was a small boat with 2 humans on it. The dolphins were playing around, some lifting their heads above the water to come back with fish in their mouth. Deku, I'm heading back. I don't feel safe here, Chaco said as she swam back into the deep. But Izuku was entranced by the human girl swimming with the dolphins, the beautiful smile that shone on the girl's face. Her flowing hair-colored hair in the water, she could almost pass as a mermaid in his eyes. That was so much fun, but I don't want to go home yet, Koda said as he sat on the sand. I mean, we still have 2 hours left before Mom comes home. I'm going to go for a swim, Ian said with a smile as she went back into the water. Koda simply built a sandcastle and picked up shells. As Ian floated on the surface of the water, memories of her father's death repeatedly flashed in her mind, when suddenly a spike of pain shot through Ian's leg. Screaming out in pain, she began to panic when she couldn't move her leg to keep her above the water. She slowly started to sink while Koda heard her scream. He was too afraid to go into the water. Izuku saw this and quickly swam into action. Izuku pushed Ian to the surface and onto the beach. Ian eventually woke up to see Koda with a green-haired boy staring down at her. Ian, he cried out as he wrapped his arms around Ian's neck and pulled her into a hug. Koda, oh, who are you? Ian asked the stranger. Oh, I'm Izuku Midoriya. he answered nervously. "Well, thank you, Midoriya." Yin thanked him as she gave him a quick peck on his forehead. Izuku's face blew up red. As he tried to cover his face with his hands, Yin's watch began to beep, telling her it was time to go home. "Koda, it's time to go home." Yin sighed sadly. "Aw, I don't want to go home, Yin," Koda wimped out as he got up to follow Yin. Yin," he called out, "when will I see you again?" "We come here every weekend, every day. So see you tomorrow," Yin said, as she and Koda ran home. They just barely got inside when they heard their mom pull into the driveway. Yin quickly told Koda to go to his room as the front door opened. "How was work today, Mama?" Yin asked blatantly. "It's fine. I expect my tea and dinner to be ready in 7 minutes. And don't repeat yesterday's mistake. Steam the coffee for 6.5 minutes. No more, no less," she ordered, not even looking at her daughter. "Yes, ma'am," Yin said simply, just as her mother was about to go upstairs and stopped. She smelled the air and turned to her daughter to see her all wet with sand on her hair. "That smell. The ocean. Swimming again? What about your chores?" your mother asked bitterly. "I finished them," Yin shuddered. "Oh, really? Did you sweep the floor, make my bed, weed the garden?" she asked with a doubtful look. "Yes," Yin answered. "Washed the rugs, waxed the table, polished the silver?" my mother continued. Yin nodded as Koda leaned against his bedroom door to listen. "Wash and dry my clothes?" "Folded and put away," Yin said. Her mother scoffed and continued up the stairs. One of the steps creaked under her step. She stopped and turned to her daughter with an annoyed look. "Did you hear that? You're supposed to keep this house in perfect shape," your mother scolded. "But I didn't know," Yin said, trying to hold back her anger. "It's your job, you know. I brought you into this life, and this is how you thank me? By wasting your time swimming. I always knew you and Koda would amount to nothing," she said with a cruel smile as she made her way to her bedroom. The day went on as usual. That day forward, Yin always looked forward to seeing Izuku again. And same could be said with Izuku. Every day, he would wait patiently for her to come back. And she and Koda always came back at the same spot. Yin could spend hours listening to Izuku ramble on and on about his world and heroes. But, of course, she always had to cut time short. Over time, Yin saw him less and less as she started to take up jobs, earning money to get away from their mother. Eventually, she did earn money and bought a tiny house by the beachside. She also took Koda with her. Thought her mother didn't seem to care much. That day she told her she was leaving with Koda, and all she said was, "Don't come back." Even though nowadays we don't see Izuku anymore. He's never at our usual meeting spot anymore. But one night, as Koda and I were walking along the beach, someone called out to me. Looking up at the beach, I didn't see anyone, but my name was called again. "Izuku?" Koda said as he pointed out to sea. And it was. His head was above the water as he pulled himself on shore. "Izuku," was all I could say as I sat down on the sand in front of him. "Finally, I found you," he said tiredly. "You were looking for us?" I asked him as I leaned in closer to him. "Of course. I would search the vast ocean for you, both of you," he said with a soft smile. Koda quickly pulled me and Izuku into a group hug. I and Izuku chuckled softly as I gave Izuku a small kiss on his cheek.